Hello again, YouTube. I'm trying to think of a name for this. I don't know what this is, vlog, podcast, something. I've decided to do it more regularly, so if you can think of a clever name for the Socratina podcast, let me know in the comments. So today I thought I'd make it a little different. Some of my friends have asked for the tea on some interesting things I got up to as a teenager, which to be honest is pretty tame by most people's standards. I've got things inside two hats of things I regret and things I don't regret, and we will do a deepish dive into each of them. I couldn't figure out an order, that's why I put them into random hats. So, first one, things I regret. I don't regret buying this hat, by the way. I love this freaking hat. It's the best. Right, what should I do first? Oh, okay. First thing I regret. Oh gosh, this is a bit heavy. I regret the way I initially responded to COVID. When I first started hearing all this stuff in the news, my initial reaction was like, oh yeah, it's going to be the same, kind of the same as bird flu and swine flu. It's not going to be a big deal. It's a storm in a teacup. The news is just making a big deal out of it to get attention, blah, blah, blah. But I was very, very wrong. And actually, just because bird flu and swine flu didn't affect me directly doesn't mean that they were not serious, actually. And I didn't really think of things like it's actually very, very scary for people who are immunocompromised. And immunocompromised people still matter just as much as people with strong immune systems do. So the pandemic kind of really changed my perspective on that stuff. And I'm glad that I know better now, and that I've kind of acknowledged that I'm in a position of privilege where I can ignore things like bird flu and swine flu. I think a lot of my initial response to COVID was kind of anger, because as a child, as like a 12-y, I was very distrustful of just the media in general. I would see kind of the way a lot of news articles got like sensationalized and overblown, and there was like a lot of celebrity gossip. It was the 2000s, so of course like there was some really silly stuff in the news, and I'd get so annoyed. I'd be like, that's not newsworthy, they shouldn't say that, they should protect that person's privacy, blah blah blah. Today I have a more moderate stance on it. I think like it depends on the media outlet. There's some newspapers that are really dodgy, some that are doing really good things, and I'm glad that I kind of know the difference now. But I think my initial sort of angry response to the COVID news was kind of a relic from my angsty 12-year-old self that never quite went away. Obviously, as an autistic person, I hate when plans get suddenly cancelled or changed when I've put so much effort into creating a plan, and I think that was kind of my initial angry knee-jerk response. When like I've got something that I'm focusing on and like a bigger problem in the world kind of overshadows that and steals its thunder, I get really annoyed, even when I know it's completely irrational to get annoyed. I still get annoyed because my limbic system is going brrrr. I think that was what happened. So I needed to look within and be like, actually, like it's okay to put aside my concerns for this bigger problem for now. There's room for my concerns later. Yeah, so it was quite a learning curve, and I think I still often will have like if there's a big problem or a big horrible event that's happened in the world, my initial response will be like, oh no, it's my fault for not caring enough about this thing. It's like a weird sort of jealousy thing. Like I remember in my class once when I was like about 8 or 9 years old, there were these two boys standing up having their show and tell, saying like, oh, we had a really cool birthday party this weekend, blah blah blah. and I had my hand up. I was like, Miss, I need to go to the toilet. I need to go to the toilet. And she was like, shush, these boys are having a special day. You need to be quiet. And I remember feeling so like betrayed because like my needing to pee was being overshadowed by someone else's show and tell. Like it's that feeling. And I know it's so irrational, but it still makes my limbic system go brrr. So I've been, working on that. So yeah, I regret my initial angry conspiracy theorist response to COVID. And I certainly don't want to become a crazy conspiracy theorist, so I'm glad I've looked within and learned. Right, I told you they'd be deep dives, I talk too much. So second thing that I regret. Right, close my eyes, draw one out. This is another heavy one. I regret being mean at school. I may seem like a really nice person now, but I could actually be really mean when I was in primary school in particular. It kind of started off like really early primary school and even like preschool. Like I had undiagnosed autism and I would often get very agitated and angry and stressed, and I would take that out on other people by physically hurting them, which obviously not good. I needed to find a better way to deal with that, and it took quite a long time, but I'm glad I don't do that anymore, needless to say. It kind of later evolved into me sort of acting up and deliberately annoying teachers and like insulting people for very like things that I shouldn't really insult people for. Like I remember there was a boy wearing pink and I gave him crap for it all day, which is ridiculous. Like boys can wear pink, girls can wear blue, people can wear whatever colour they want, but I was being very silly and looking for something to be silly about, and of course the first thing you attack is appearance most of the time, because humans, our dominant sense is sight. Well, for most humans anyway, depends on the human. As I got even older, that sort of bled into like if I was insecure or jealous of someone, I would like the first thing I would attack would be their appearance. Like I'd say, oh, that person's ugly, or that person wears yucky clothes. And unfortunately, it sometimes I would actually be very discriminatory and sometimes even racist. Like if there was a new kid in my class from another country, that was the first thing I would attack, because I was like, oh, they're getting more attention than me, I'm going to be mean to them about something that's different from me. And I'm really glad that I know better now and that I'm not doing that anymore, because it's horrible and that can be incredibly traumatic for people. With adults who behave that way, which there are many of, unfortunately, I think a lot of it just boils down to that childish jealousy. Like if you feel that someone else is getting more attention or more resources or something like that from you, then I don't know if it's a caveman brain thing that kicks in and you're like, right, I'm gonna attack their appearance and everything about them that's different from me to try and kind of make everybody be friends with me and not them. And I think that is what leads to a lot of the issues today with discriminatory behaviour, even with things like people who are nasty towards the rainbow community. I think a lot of it is they see someone being unapologetically themselves, unashamedly themselves, and they're all like, hey, if I don't get to be myself and be authentic without being criticized or being embarrassed, why should they? It's not fair. And I think that's kind of the subconscious thing that causes a lot of this behavior. And I've had to learn that the hard way. I've treated people in ways that I really regret at school. Like, for example, there were some people at my school who also had special needs like I did, and we had to share teacher aides, and I was very like, nah, you're not stealing my teacher aide. And so there were some people I actually, like, I bullied. I was not nice. Future me here also adding that sometimes
I would be mean to someone as a kind of revenge because I felt like they were being mean to me, but I would be much meaner to them than they were to me. So it just kind of made it worse rather than better.
If you're one of those people and you see this video, I apologize. I am sorry for how I treated you, and you are not obliged to forgive me. That's your choice, but I do regret what I did, and I want to do better as a grown-up. I hope the next one will be less of a heavy one. I've got 5 things in here. What's the next one? A bit less heavy, but still quite serious, I suppose. Another thing I regret is avoiding opera because I thought that I couldn't do it, and that like if I put any sort of energy or effort into liking opera or singing opera or getting involved in it or knowing about it, then I'd only break my own heart because I'd eventually get rejected and not have a career and things like that. When I was 12 years old, I saw my first opera and was like, this is amazing, this is cool, this is what I want to do with my life. But then I heard a lot of things like, oh, it's so hard to be an opera singer, you'll have to work so hard, it's so expensive, you'll get rejected so many times, and I was like, oh, is this really a good idea? So I kind of just avoided it. But I regret avoiding it, actually. I think if I'd focused more on learning about opera from an earlier age, I would have probably achieved more earlier. I would have been ready for more earlier. I would have more knowledge now than I do, because like I have so much knowledge to catch up on. Like I have so many arias that I haven't learnt, so many operas that I haven't seen. I need to become more of an opera nerd. What I should have done was just focused on it and been like, actually, I don't care if I break my heart. I'm gonna do it anyway and see if it works. I'm glad I took that leap of faith and auditioned, because I would have regretted it if I hadn't. So yeah, that's why I think if you've got a dream, even if it seems like a crazy dream, I think go for it. Like, give it a try, because it's better to try something and mess it up than not try and then regret not trying. Final one, I can see what it is already. This was the reason I made this video. People wanted to know the tea on this. I regret making a meme page for my old high school. To be honest, I'm not sure if I 100% regret this. I'm kind of, it was a sort of rite of passage in a way. It was a learning experience, all part of life's rich tapestry, but I think I could have handled it a lot better than I had. So here's the tea. It was 2012. If you know what 2012 internet culture was like, everyone who was anyone was making a meme page about something, and I saw a lot of meme pages about schools. And I thought, since that was the year that I had left my school, I thought I would pay a kind of cheeky homage to that school by creating a meme page for it. And I created like a little meme team and everything. We had admins, it was great. But unfortunately, somebody, I don't know who, but somebody stumbled upon it and told the school, hey, this page is showing the school in a not very nice light.
I have nothing against whoever it was who told the school about the page, by the way. I'm sure they did it out of good intentions and loyalty.
And my initial reaction was like, oh, come on, we're just having fun. But I can also see where those people were coming from who didn't really like it, because, I mean, if somebody made a meme page about me without my consent, I would be quite alarmed. There were lots of people posting on the page, and, like, I wanted to keep it fairly light-hearted and just fun, but unfortunately, sometimes it did divulge into like nasty territory and mentioning actual teachers' names and things like that, which is not nice. It is another thing I've always kind of been conflicted about, because I've never liked the whole schools being obsessed with image and being perfect and using students as a marketing tool and You can't put a single toe out of line, blah blah blah. But also I can see how schools, small schools especially, need to protect their reputation, um, protect themselves, especially having worked in like educational organizations, because sometimes things can happen, like there can be a bad rumor that gets out, someone will pull funding because they've heard the bad rumor, that kind of thing. Obviously I have nothing against my old school. I loved my old school. I had a great time there. And yeah, obviously no school is perfect, but I enjoyed my high school experience overall. I hope that the meme page didn't cause too much carnage before I deleted it. But the funny thing was, nobody believed it was me that created the page, even when I posted like a video of me singing a song that I'd written myself when I was at school, and like pretty much everyone at that school had heard that song when I was there because I played it all the time. People did not believe it was me. Even when I created a meme on Meme Generator with my face covered by my fringe, they were like, "That's not you. That's not you." And I'm like, "It was me." And I think it was because I had this reputation of being like this innocent, sheltered goody two shoes when I was at school. And when I left, I kind of I changed, and people were like, "What? No, how?" I like meme pages, but I think I possibly could have handled this better. Because obviously it was 2012. A lot of pages were not very scrupulously admined or moderated. And today, like, a lot of Facebook pages and Facebook groups are much more strictly strictly moderated for that reason, because people can say really ridiculous things so easily, and people can dogpile so easily, and so it needs to be strictly monitored. And I think that's probably kind of what I should have done. This is actually the final one. I saw it fell out of the hat, so this one is fifth thing that I regret is not doing more with my Socratina stuff. I feel like I could have utilized platforms better. I feel like I could have probably gone jumped ship to TikTok a bit earlier, because I've had a bit more success there than I have on this platform. Don't tell anyone. It could have been a bit more onto it with timing. Like for example, when one of my videos went viral, I mean I put the song on Spotify, but I don't know, I could have done more. I could have probably, I don't know, released some weird merch or something. I don't know. I think I probably could have focused on this more when I was younger and had more success for that reason. But I'm also glad that I focused on classical singing, because you need to spend years and years on that to develop it properly. And I'm glad that I got to, have a normal life, work normal jobs, and not sort of suddenly explode into virality when virality actually mattered, as opposed to like now when it's kind of normal, if that makes sense. Like, in 2009, if I'd suddenly blown up, I would not have a normal life. But in 2023, I, blew up for about like a week or so, and now things are back to normal again. So I think that's a good thing. I'm glad I have a bit of privacy, a bit of normality. I can just be myself without having to kind of be on in public all the time. I quite like having a bit of a slow burn career. But that being said, if you want to have a look at my Bandcamp, link in the doobly doo. Now that my hat is, there's no more regrets in my hat, I will wear it. I will be the regrets in my hat. Now for a more cheerful note, things I do not regret. Right, what do I go first? I do not regret going overseas, as I have said before. I am glad that I waited till I was 30, actually, but also glad that I got this experience, full stop. I initially resented the pressure for New Zealanders to go overseas ASAP. I was like, why should I? Like, why should I go at all? But I eventually decided I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for other people. I'm doing this for me purely, and I'm glad I did that. Yes, it was incredibly expensive, it was stressful, but I think I'm glad I did it. Life's too short, you know? I'm really glad I, with the help of a lot of people, made it happen. And I know I'm speaking from a position of real privilege here because, you know, I'm lucky. I'm here because I fundraised, but also because I have many generous people in my life who decided to help me. So I wouldn't be here without those people. If you want to make something like this happen, I say go for it. Like, you know, I would have regretted not trying, so give it a go. And if you want any advice from me on the nitty gritty things, I'm happy to communicate via messages or whatever and talk about it, because it's hard, but I think it's worthwhile, and I'm really glad that I'm here. Like, before I left New Zealand, I was scared that I would regret it for like reasons of mental health, because I have dodgy mental health, I always have. But I am, at the moment, I'm managing, and I'm really glad that I'm here. Like, it hasn't always been perfect and plain sailing, but I think I'd rather, you know, have dodgy mental health while trying to pursue my dreams than have dodgy mental health while not trying to pursue my dreams, if that makes sense. Right. Non-regret number 2. What does it say? Oh yeah. I do not regret getting and knowing about my autism diagnosis. I was diagnosed really early. I was 6 years old. I'm really glad that I know about that. I'm glad that my parents told me. I'm glad that I got the diagnosis so that I could get the support I needed early on, because, like, who knows where I'd be if I hadn't had that support early on. I might still be, you know, having those same behavioral issues that I did in the early days. It's good to have an explanation for why things are the way they are, like, not an excuse, an explanation, you know? And I'm also glad that I got assessed for other things last year. I got assessed for dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD. Initially, it was interesting. I thought I had dyslexia, but it was actually a combination of dyspraxia and ADHD, which makes reading difficult because of, like, eye muscles and concentration. So there's a fun fact for you. But I'm glad I know that now, so that I can work with my neurodivergence rather than against it. I think, you know, growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s as an early diagnosed autistic child was kind of, in a way, kind of a unique experience, because not a lot of kids got diagnosed that young in those days. I feel old saying that. So I have a unique perspective there, and I could, you know, later become kind of an advocate in that way, and do things like my master's dissertation on neurodiversity in the music industry, knowing those things, and I'm really glad that I could do that. So yeah, yay autism. Right. Next thing is, oh yeah, I do not regret taking my career slow. I know I said there were things I could have done better, which, like, yeah, that's true, but I'm also glad that I'm doing the slow burn music creative career thing, because I'm really glad that I could learn how to adult, because it took me a bit longer than most of my peers to do that because of my neurodivergence. I'm glad that I got to just, you know, have a normal life, a private life. I'm glad that I got to look after my mental health while my brain was still developing. I'm glad that I have, you know, learnt through this career building process things like you know, patience, humility, hard work, etc. To be honest, I think the world needs more older role models actually. I really appreciate having people like role models in the creative industry who are older than me, who've started late, etc. Because I think the world is quite it's quite obsessed with youth. Like it's all like 30 under 30, um, age 25 cut off for scholarships, blah blah blah. Um, like I think we need more oldies. Not that I'm that old, or even like I'm not even that well known, to be honest. Like, but you know what I mean. I'm glad I got to, you know, spend my teens and my 20s just exploring and finding out things about myself without everyone looking at me, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm glad that I have taken things slow, even if some people think that I took them too slow. I'm glad I did it the way I did. Right. Number 4 of things I don't regret. I do not regret releasing I Kissed a Cow and I Liked It on TikTok. At first, when I saw that video blow up overnight, I was both delighted and terrified. It was very scary, but I'm glad I did it at my age and not at the age that I actually wrote the song. I wrote that song when I was 15, and I don't think I would have handled that kind of attention when I was 15. I'm glad I got to sort of learn more about copyright issues and distribution issues and things through this song. I still have a lot to learn. I'm still hoping that I will not get sued, because parodies are a bit different from covers copyright wise, and I'm not, you know, I'm not Weird Al, I'm not famous, so you know, if I get sued, I'm screwed. But still there, still on Spotify, link in the doobly-doo. I'm also not sure how that particular type of humour would have gone down when I was 15, because would have been about 2008, 2009. I know edgy humour was really in then, and people my age at the time loved edgy humour. I mean, my classmates probably would have thought it was hilarious, but grown-ups, I imagine, would have had like a moral panic of some sort, because I remember when I was about that age, I sang Tom Lehrer's Masochism Tango in a masterclass, and I was told, oh, that's not appropriate for your age, young lady, and I got really upset. But in a way, like I can see where the class master, if that's the right word, was coming from, because like I was under the age of consent, and that song is about consent, I guess, and you know, we need to protect minors at all costs and draw very, very strong lines in the sand. Otherwise, you know, bad things can happen. So I understand now, but I'm still like, I guess I had quite a mature sense of humor at that age, and I didn't want to be held back, you know. But I am glad that I waited to release this particular parody. And yeah, I'm glad I got this big explosion of TikTok followers and got to network through this song. That was really special. Virality doesn't mean much these days. It meant a lot more when I was a kid. Like, so I don't know, I might be a lot more successful if I had released it earlier, but as I said, glad I got to have, you know, a private life, because I don't think I'd be very well if I'd been, you know, watched all through my teens and all through my 20s. If you want to see the original, the sound has actually been removed because copyright, but there's some links in the doobly-doo if you want to see the full story. Right. And finally, I do not regret the hair and body modifications that I have undergone. It makes it sound a lot more extreme than it is. But for years I was very against, like, I had a sheltered upbringing, so I was like, oh no, I don't want to pierce my ears or dye my hair or do anything crazy. But as I got older, I was like, you know what? I do. And I'm glad that I've done those things. I'm glad that I got, I mean, I only have like the standard ear piercings, but got my eyebrow done. I'm really glad that I did that because I love it. I think it's awesome. Glad I've put various crazy colours through my hair over the years and had mohawks and all sorts of things. If you want to do those kinds of things, I say go for it. Life's too short not to enjoy yourself. So yeah, a variety of regrets and non-regrets for you. If you have any particular regrets or non-regrets that you want to talk about, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you, and also commenting will help this video get out there because I really want to get this channel back up off the ground after I abandoned it in favour of my studies. So yeah, go forth and comment. Yeah, enjoy yourselves. Take only what you need from me. Life's too short not to climb that mountain. Bye.